Our next speaker, Istvan Teplan, is part of the executive committee of the Laszlo Institute and an illustrious academic and actual public servant intellectual very much in this area of environment and communications. Istvan Teplan is currently the co-founder and president of the ProSum Foundation, which I think everybody will be glad to learn is tasked with dealing with one of the most great urgencies of our time, which is the provision of reliable public information so that we as citizens and as a community can make responsible decisions that are properly informed. But his background beyond that is vast. If I tell you that he's the co-founder of the Central European University, now under stress from the government of Hungary, but still one of the real lights of education in Eastern Europe, or that he's been a minister of environment involved with not only the state of Hungary, but the European Union and many other credentials, too time-consuming to present, and without taking away from the time that he has to present to us. I'd like him to also brief us on the political situation right now that we're facing in the world. Istvan, welcome.
Thank you so much. And I was asked to react quickly to Mr. Ahmed, and it was a very interesting and inspiring thoughts. However, I hate to say this, but I fundamentally disagree. I fundamentally disagree with what you said, not the content, but the approach. Especially the end, what you said, and I see much darker. You see, the situation. I don't think that there is any, philosopher's stones or some Eastern wisdom or a salvation theory which will solve the today's situation. I don't think that we agree that the most important factor in the crisis is us, is people. And I don't think that there is too much adaptation towards good things. If we adopt, we mostly adapt towards orient toward the bad thing, and this is also true with the Eastern countries that I know. It's very marginal, the real effect, and I really like when you mentioned that which way is the world is going. I think it's going in a very bad way. There are 194 countries which has some kind of government in this world, and only 20 of them are full democracies. Good or bad, but 20 of them are full. Maybe 50 of them are flawed democracies. The rest are non-democratic. And you kept saying, these nations, that nations. I really think that the only solution is finally get rid of this whole idea of the global organization based on nation states. I'm long convinced, and this is not kind of my Marxist upbringing. I'm more convinced of this than I was then, when I was protesting against those ideas. But if you look at the superpowers who are running the world, most of the superpowers are not democratic. The US, hopefully after Trump. The EU is not a superpower. It's a nice idea, but it is not a superpower. All the big ones, Russia, India's Modi's India, Erdogan's Turkey, Bolsonaro's Brazil. So I think the world is going into a very dark alley, a very dark alley. And somehow you have to explain to me and to everybody how it will change. If we all enlighten, finally we're going to enlighten the dictators who run the world, because they do run the world. You know, we have just this huge spyware scandal in Europe. It's really going into a very dark way, and I don't think technology will help us towards the good. It will help us towards the bad, because there are combinations now, like China, which you never seen before. There is technological advancement, economic effectivity, a huge state control which you never seen before, and how you able to tackle this. And the other thing is when I was thinking, the only thing you didn't mention is the demographical tipping point. I never heard that there is a demographical tipping point. Ergo, if the resources are allocated mostly by, if I want to be simple, by the bad guys, and there is no demographical tipping point, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see that what kind of crisis you're going to run into. So I think we really have to focus on to understand that what are the social movements, global social movements, which can balance this very negative trend of emerging dictatorship, emerging authoritarian regimes. 2 or 3 authoritarian regimes are just about to pull the EU together. Not that the EU regulates them, the other way around. So it is like, you know, bad money pushes out good money. It's the same thing. So what I wanted to bring in just a food for thought. Of course, I don't have a solution, but I really don't see that, you know, we understand, we learn, we don't learn. I really don't see the learning. You know, I really don't see the learning. People have technologies that I'm absolutely non-convinced that they need. There are going to be more and more people, without being, you know, Malthusian here and anything. But, you know, if you just read UN statistics, that even if the reproduction rate in certain countries are dropping, there is no tipping point in sight.
Istvan, I think you've made your point, and I want to give Nafeez a chance to respond.
Fine.
I know you have to leave, and we have one more speaker that's important. So I want to thank you. I want
to express that I found the lecture really interesting, and I hope Mr. Ahmed won't take me wrong for being on the critical side.
Not only that, I want to thank you on behalf of the entire symposium for inoculating the entire event against any accusations of offering a Pollyannish, idealistic view of our future. So you've accomplished that. Thank you. Nafeez, please.
Thank you, Istvan. Yeah, I mean, brilliant response. Thank you so much. It's very sobering, and I always welcome. I mean, anyone who reads most of my actual work as a journalist would probably have been surprised to hear me speak in the way I did today. I don't often get a chance to do that. because they'll find me talking about all of the things that you're speaking about, Istvan, about the the devastation, that the kind of the dark age features of civilization and its collapse that we're experiencing right now. I think what's important is when you take a systems point of view, you can begin to see what the possibilities are and what the realities are. And what the possibilities and realities are is not at all to suggest that we are going to be automatically transitioning to some wonderful world of enlightenment. That's not happening. There's no automatic safety kind of escape that's going to emerge like that. And I think the important thing to understand when we realize that there's the idea of a global phase shift gives a sense of really two really critical things. One is that the current system is going to collapse. It is collapsing right now, and it's going to collapse. And it has a terminal point. And we can maybe extend that terminal point. We could maybe, kind of extend it out, or maybe it could come closer. And there can be various different ramifications around that collapse. That collapse could be existential, or it could be more tempered. It could happen very, very quickly and take everything out with it. Or, it could be a protracted process that takes hundreds of years. And the science at the moment is telling us actually that we have maybe up on a business as usual trajectory, maybe up to the end of the century, kind of a maximal level of, if we continue our current rates, we're looking at creating an uninhabitable planet within our lifetimes. So it's pretty grim. And I think the reality is that on our current trajectory, we are heading into what we're seeing. I think it's interesting to use the word dark age. And it's exactly that, because what we've seen with past civilizations is what happens. When they collapse, then there is a dark age. But the other thing that has happened with those civilizations is that there's been something that happens afterwards. Now, we find ourselves in a quite unique predicament, which is that this has never happened before on a global scale. Number two, we've never been able to see it before and really and have conversations about it and make sense of it before. So I think there are really a number of issues to think about here. One is that when you look at the odds, overwhelmingly, the odds appear to be against us. And it's exactly like you said, when you start looking at the facts and the data and the statistics, everything seems to be against us, But the first time, we've never been able before to actually look and map out all of these things that are going on and then say, wait a minute, we need to do something about this. Something needs to change. That's never happened before. You can go through every past civilization, and I can guarantee you, whether it's the Roman Empire or the Byzantine, or whether the Uruk or whatever it is, that they've never been able to see what's been coming. So we have an opportunity. And the other big opportunity that comes with a phase shift is exactly that when there is a release, there is a breaking down of the old system. And when there's a breaking down of the old system, there's an opportunity space, there's a possibility space. And what's really important is that we have to recognize the possibilities. If we, in our pessimism, focus on the dark age and say basically everything is doomed, then that is the self-fulfilling prophecy that we're stuck with. But if we say that is what we're stuck with, if we continue on these exact trends and tipping points that you very rightly pointed out, of course, that's the warning. But the other thing is to realize that there is this huge possibility spaces that's opened up.
I'm going to stop you. I'm going to have to stop you there, Nafis, because I think that's exactly the point. And I think this is exactly the tone and tenor that this opening session required.